So yeah, if you've seen the thumbnail of this video or you've been to Duel Links meta and saw the tier list, yep, this deck is broken as hell. This deck is tier 0 with like two other decks in the tier list, Destiny Hero being tier 2 and Eldritch being tier 3 as like the two other decks that have a chance of reliably stopping this deck. But things are not looking good. Character duels looking more and more enticing by the day. And don't worry, I will be making videos on that very soon. But this video is just here as like a quick rant about the situation of speed right now. And I'm just gonna try to like piece together why I think this has happened. Like, I think the situation that we are in right now isn't like a thing that happened overnight. It's like a long series of decisions of Konami that kind of shaped this kind of format that we are in right now, where reliably you can only win by either FTKing or floodgating or kaijuing. It's not looking good. Uh, I think the biggest culprit of this thing happening is, of course, the broken skills that have been coming out recently. Like, a lot of skills nowadays don't even have that big of a lock on them. So, like, for example, Furion Battle Royale, the skill that the tier 0 deck is using, it doesn't really lock you from summoning anything. It just needs you to play a certain amount of Furion cards, which means you can pretty much summon anything, and you have a lot of freedom to do stupid stuff like making an FTK with Summoner's Monk, right? And yeah, and even if you have the main deck locks like other skills, like most other skills having a restriction that you can only special summon anything from the extra deck, like if you summon from outside the extra deck, you must summon from the archetype, right? Even then, it's still what you're gonna do is just rank 8 slot, right? This is the other issue of the game nowadays, is that especially with the release of the rank 8 package, Dragluxion and friends, endboards are way too broken because the endboards that Dragluxion makes is just 3 negates. It's Photon Lord negate, Harbinger negate, and then Transmigration negate. That's 3 negates. It's not fun. And what that does is that it basically encourages your opponent to be playing Kaijus, because if you don't play Kaijus, it's really difficult to play through 3 negates, and instead of forcing out the 3 negates with 3 cards, the most reliable way of just getting rid of all of the interruptions is just having a lava golem or a kaiju or a sphere mode, and that is not very fun gameplay. It's like not a very good thing to be encouraging other players to be playing as like an out in your deck, right? I'm not necessarily complaining about needing to like draw the out. That has been a thing even when people aren't putting 3 negates in their endboards, right? MST, Book of Moon, those things have existed for a very long time, or even like Ancient back in the day, right? It has always been like that, but kaiju's being meta just is a litmus test of what kind of endboards people are playing. If kaijus are the only reliable way of outing the endboards that people are making nowadays, something has gone really wrong. And speaking of things that have gone really wrong, another thing aside from people just building unbreakable boards is the thing that you see right in front of you. Decks like these can also FTK because Konami decided that skills just allow you to FTK now, right? It is an ongoing issue that pretty much since, I don't know what, Rebecca Dragons, there has been some form of FTK in the format ever since. Like, people keep finding ways to FTK. It all started with Rebecca Dragons. I mean, there were FTKs even before. I think like Utopia FTK, Tapkin FTK, but like the release of the Rebecca FTK deck ever since has been kind of a growing issue that has never been really properly addressed, because people still keep finding ways to FTK, even like every time a new ban list comes out and burn card gets hit, people just find another burn card, and then another new deck comes out, and people find a way to FTK with those as well. Think of like Dino FTK, like this Furion FTK. A Destiny hero can hand loop with Draw and Lockbird and Disturbance Strategy, and obviously they know about the existence of Disturbance Strategy because they limited the card to one when Draw and Lockbird came out as like kind of a way to prevent that from happening too much. But the issue is that skills nowadays are just way too strong. They kind of didn't give modern skills a big enough restriction to kind of prevent people from still doing the combo even when one of the cards are limited to one. And that's kind of an issue, right? Even if you don't necessarily have the FTK combo, just Joe and Lockbird plus Disturbance Strategy, that's pretty much the same thing. Definitely not as good as straight up FTKing, but it's essentially an FTK, right? And the other thing is floodgates. If we quickly go over to one of my Odeon decks, that deck just gets to search a floodgate, and that is not good. This is like a kind of a Eldritch hybrid deck that I've been testing. I'm basically trying to combine Eldritch with Orcust, and the entire reason why I'm even trying to do this is because the Eldritch skill just lets you search a stupid floodgates like this one. A Tyrant's Tirade just is basically better skill drain, and you don't even need to play more than one copies because you can just search it by going through Galleon Granite and searching Lord of the Heavenly Prison, and then that just gets you anything, and then you can just activate that trap immediately because of the Temple of the Kings that the skill gives you. And that's like another issue, right? Floodgates have been in the game for a very long time. In fact, this card has been in the game since 2017, but never has seen widespread play just because it's not very accessible. And floodgates that are not accessible are not worth playing most of the time because, well, floodgates are only pretty much good when you go first, and if you go second and you draw the floodgate, you just have a dead draw. And you have to kind of balance the fact that if you want to draw this card more often when you go first, you have to play more copies, but if you play more copies, you might draw them going second. But this isn't an issue when you have skills like this one that can just search anything. And aside from this one, another skill of the power of all creation, which is a skill that I've talked about in a previous video, pretty much uh, immediately after the new Tachyon stuff came out, I immediately play tested with a version of Tachyon that did not play the Tachyon skill and instead played this skill, because when you summon the Primal in your opponent's field, you can just use this skill to search anything. You just add anything you want. If you go second, you add Lava Golem. If you go first, you add a Floodgate. It's kinda insane. And that's like another way that you can use to add a Floodgate to your hand, and that is not good. Whenever a deck has like a reliable way of creating a Floodgate, it is not a good sign. And all of these things combined, having unbreakable boards thanks to the Dragluxion package, FTKs being everywhere, and also floodgates being really searchable, is just not shaping up to be a really good meta. I don't think there even in some of the older tier 0 formats, things haven't been as bad as it is right now. Like, even the closest we've ever been to this kind of situation is, I think, what, Tachyon FTK. But Tachyon FTK isn't really that good. Like, it dies to a lot of things. Like, you can just like Veiler the Coach King Giant Trainer and they lose. They're a lot less resilient to hand traps. The deck is a lot less good going second. Like, Tachyon tier 0 format is primarily just Tachyon, right? The Tachyon FTK is kind of not very good and just being played as kind of a thing that people just play just because they want to play FTKs. But it's scary when the Furion FTK can not only FTK consistently, but also play 9 non-engine, or even more if you have the space for it, and also reliably go second, not thanks to not only the non-engine, but also just the engine itself is just really good going second, right? Like this FTK is a lot higher quality than even the Tachyon FTK back in the day, and that's only one of the multiple FTKs that are running around. We also have the Destiny Hero hand loop, and Dino FTK is playable in this format even after the Limit 1 Superconductor Tyranno, right? So like things are not looking good. It's not good, and I have a few kind of suggestions on how I think the format can be solved. It's not going to be an easy thing to do because of like all of the issues that I've talked about all piling up and kind of growing over time over a long period because Konami just kind of refuses to address the issue. First of all, just half of the burn damage, right? We have tons of burn damage that are just released before Zexal, and Zexal is kind of like the cutoff point where they decided to halve all the burn damage ever since the new Zexal world came out. Like all of the Xyz monsters have their effect damage halved because they are all after the release of the Zexal world. But older stuff like Superconductor Tyranno, it still has the original amount of burn damage. So like instead of limiting every single one of those cards, like doing a whack-a-mole and having to do stuff like limiting Hinotama to one, why not just, half of the burn damage and then re-up a third of the ban list or something? Like that seems like the logical thing to do, right? And even then, you might be able to notice if you've seen this FTK before, like Ethereum FTK, all of the FTK pieces are post Zexal. Like all of the burn damage cards are Xyz monsters, which have their effect damage halved already. So the other issue is just to have meaningful restrictions on your skills, right? They shouldn't be allowed to do this. Just have a line of text on the skills that prevent them from making all of this generic slop. You don't even need to explicitly say that you can't deal effect damage when you use this skill. Just have more summoning restrictions. Don't let them normal summon Summoner's Monk, for example. Why is this deck allowed to do this? And um maybe some form of extra deck restriction might be good as well. Furion is a rank 8 strategy, so maybe a restriction that only allows you to make rank 8 might be a good way to do it. But regardless of which direction you take, you should have some restriction on the skill, right? And the other thing is, even with the skill restrictions, we need to stop this rank 8 package. This rank 8 package, not good for the game. And even if they stop people from FTKing, people are just gonna make these kinds of triple negate boards because these are for some reason accessible for any deck that can make rank 8s, and these kinds of end boards are just not good for the game, right? It's all negates and incentivizes your opponent to be playing lava golems and kaijus and sphere modes, and um, not every deck can play those cards, and even if you could, it's just not a good sign when those kind of cards are the only outs you have to people's end boards. So you're gonna have to kind of find a way to limit this card or just any part of the package. I've made a video talking about the Jagluxion problem before, so I won't talk about that too much. But the other thing is that we just need to limit or ban the floodgates, right? Floodgates. I don't know if people are playing the floodgates a lot, but even if they are not played a lot, they still should not be part of the meta, right? If a deck can search the floodgate, either the floodgate needs to be limited. Like if you limit Tyrant's Tirade, the Eldritch deck can no longer search it because they need Granite, and Granite is already at 1. Or just, straight up ban this card. Or, in decks that can search floodgates, just give them more restrictions, like the power of all creation or Eldritch, the Eldritch skill. Like they already have the line of text on the power of all creation that stops them from FTKing, but apparently that's not enough because you can just search a floodgate and that's pretty much an FTK. and that's not that much better either. So if we go and find the power of world creation, it explicitly has a line of text that says your opponent takes no effect damage from your card effects. So like they clearly acknowledge that this skill has like the potential to be broken, and they already have kind of a safety rail to prevent people from just using this skill from FTKing. But when you can just use it to search a floodgate, realistically, how much different is it from just having an FTK, right? So yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. A lot of things need to be changed for speed to be playable. I mean, they can still just ignore the problem and just hit any new decks that come out after they have been broken for a while. You know, just keep limiting the burn cards and not having all the burn damage like they should, or just hitting the cards in the deck and not touching the skills like they always have. And I mean, they can just do this forever, and you know, it's like putting a band-aid on a really serious problem, a really long-standing problem. And I mean, it will work because you are nerfing the deck, but I don't think that's like a really good and sustainable long-term solution to kind of the issue that Konami has slowly created for the speed format of the game. Like, they could just limit Lava Golem to 3 and stop people from spamming Lava Golem, but I mean, uh, that doesn't really solve the issue that people are still making unbreakable endboards. And, you know, aside from the rank A package, Destiny heroes are making unbreakable endboards because their endboard literally has a skill drain. I don't know why it's not showing up in the popular cards, but yeah, Plasma is literally just a skill drain, and then they have DPE, they have the other fusion that pops. I don't can't find it, but basically Plasma is just a skill drain, right? And then they have all sorts of protection from the D Force continuous spell, which is also not showing up in the popular cards tab, but whatever. Yeah, you get what I mean. Like, decks nowadays are just too unbeatable. I like the dynamic when skills help you go second, and then you can realistically still break board using only engine with the help of like a skill, which gives you a bonus effect when you go second. But when people are abusing this and even using stuff like the Valence field spells to trigger the bonus effects of the skills, this is not good. It's not where we want to be. So until then, speed is just gonna be a really unplayable format, and well, I'm probably just gonna be playing character duels in the meantime. To be honest, I still haven't really played a single game of character duels because I didn't really have the time yet. I will try to experiment with the format a bit. Maybe I'll play it on stream or something, and then I'll start to make videos on it. But yeah, and I don't know, play Rush or something. Yeah, not much else I want to say. Thanks for watching, and hopefully things turn out to be better soon.